going on, everybody? Today we've got a FM23 experiment here. What we're going to be doing today is taking the #1 FM content creator, Zealand, and putting him in FM23 as a manager, simulating his career as a manager and seeing where it takes him, seeing if he can replicate the success that he's had at Bate Borisov, at Oriental Dragon, and Forestdorfer. See if he can do that, whether he stays at Taunton Town, where we will be starting him the entire time, or if he moves on and eventually manages likes of Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, etc. If you guys happen to enjoy today's video, please feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribing is 100% free, so why not hit that sub button? Without further ado, let's get into the video. So as we can see right here, we got Mr. Zealand at Taunton Town, who he is actually managing in reality right now in his save over on Twitch. And we are on day 1 of a save, June 27th, 2022. These are how his attributes are, and I made sure for his 10s too. He uses the loan market because we all know the man loves loans, and he signs U22 players for the first team because he loves his youngsters for his side and developing them, selling them on, making massive profits. So we're trying to keep Zealand as possible. So hopefully he can develop in a lot of these areas, such as defending, tactical, judging player ability and potential, which we all know he is very, very freaking good at getting wonder kids. So yeah, let's see how he does 5 years on from Taunton. So 5 years on, where does Zealand find himself? Finds himself in Scotland at St. Mirren in the Cinch Championship, where he not only managed St. Mirren, but he also managed Livingston, as we can see down here. He did spend 3 seasons at Taunton. After those 3 seasons, a season at Livingston, and now at St. Mirren. And what is funny about the Livingston situation and St. Mirren situation, he ended up leaving Livingston because St. Mirren got relegated down. As we can see here, St. Mirren and Livingston, same league. He leaves Livingston, and Livingston win the league when he left them to try and win the league with St. Mirren. So unfortunately, that move kind of backfired on Zealand. But I definitely have faith in him to get things going in the right direction, being that St. Mirren are one of the top teams now within the championship, depending on who drops down. But that is definitely a kick in the teeth with having a team that you just left for a better opportunity to go up to the Scottish Premiership, and then that side that you leave ends up getting promoted instead. But we move. And where do we move to? 10 years in the future, where Zealand now finds himself at Cardiff City in the Sky Bet Championship. Yes, he did leave St. Mirren. That is the only other job that he had in that time span other than moving here to Cardiff. But what is funny about this move to Cardiff is that he got St. Mirren promoted. So when did St. Mirren get promoted? As we can see here, St. Mirren were promoted in 27-28. When did Zealand leave St. Mirren? He left them in 27-28 after getting them promoted. So getting a club out of the Cinch Championship in Scotland, going up to the Premiership in Scotland, he then leaves them and goes to the Championship in England to manage Cardiff. Why he did that move, I don't know. That's borderline basically the same type of move that he did to Livingston, and then Livingston get promoted the season that he leaves. So far, questionable moves from Zealand in his managerial career, but he is having success as he has won a league already, which is pretty nice. So here we are, 15 years in the future now. Zealand currently finds himself at Fulham in the Premier League, so he got his big-time move to a big-time league. And what's funny about it is that while at Cardiff in 2030-31, he got them promoted to the Prem, unfortunately got relegated and went back down. But Fulham, he's taking over a Fulham side that are pretty solid and are a mid-table side that honestly, under what he has been doing so far with teams, might be able to break into European places and potentially win something. Now, why am I making that claim that Zealand can potentially, help Fulham, instead of being mid-table obscurity, maybe win something, whether it be in Europe, maybe a FA Cup, maybe a Carabao Cup? Well, at Livingston, he ended up helping them win the SPFL Trust Trophy. That is probably what earned him that move to St. Mirren, which later on, St. Mirren, he ended up winning the league with them and won the Cinch Championship Head Coach of the Year. And then after that, once he moved to Cardiff, they did outright win the league. And he won the Sky Bet Championship Coach of the Year. And then they ended up getting in second with Fulham. So he actually brought them back up, it looks like. So he took over Fulham, went down, then came back up, and then finished 10th. That's why they're in 10th. So Zealand got them in 10th. Okay, that actually makes sense. So yes, I do still believe that they can do something in Europe. Let's see if they can. So we're now 20 years in the future. Zealand is now 46 years old, and he still is at Fulham. So he's showing some big time loyalty there. Let's see what Fulham's accomplished in the meantime, since we have skipped forward 5 more years. According to his notable milestones, nothing. They haven't done anything else. But I mean, competitions wise, we can at least see where they've been finishing. We got a 12th place finish, most recently 10th. We have a 14th, finished 6th. That's big time, because that was the year that I guess that, yeah, they got into Europe and they got to the Europa League quarterfinal, which that is massive. That was in 2039. They're getting deep in cups, which is good. If Zealand for some reason decides to stick around still at Fulham, maybe he can finally win something, because it looks like they're getting deep in cups and Zealand is starting to hit his stride to where, all right, he can get Fulham to compete in cups, which Fulham has always kind of been able to compete in cups. They just unfortunately haven't been able to win them. But maybe under Zealand, they finally can. Now 25 years into the future with Zealand, he's 51 years of age. And he is at Borussia Dortmund, which I absolutely love, because I love Borussia Dortmund. How did he earn that big time move, you might be wondering? Well, we take a look at the trophies won at Fulham. We got a Europa League, and we also got a UEFA Super Cup. So he won something that hasn't been able to be done with Fulham previously, and he finally brought them continental glory, which is massive. He won the Europa League in 2045. So, yeah, 2045 UEFA Super Cup as well. I don't think he won anything else. Yeah, that is it. Those two didn't win a Carabao Cup or FA Cup, but winning the UEFA Europa League and the Super Cup enough to get him a big-time move to a big-time club in Germany, that being Borussia Dortmund. Which I went to check the trophy cabinet for Borussia Dortmund, and Zealand's already added trophies to the trophy cabinet at Borussia Dortmund. He has won a DFB Pokal in 2047, and he has won the Europa Conference League in 2046. So I guess they were in the Conference League when he joined, and then now they're in the Europa League, or probably being that it's Borussia Dortmund. We'll check here in a sec. All right, so looking at his notable career milestones, I am guessing that they will be in the Europa League, being that they just won the DFB Pokal in the year that we are currently up to, 2047. So maybe he can do what he did at Fulham and bring a Europa League trophy to Borussia Dortmund, which I believe would be their second one in club history. But I mean, they now have a Champions League, Europa League, and Conference League, thanks to Zealand and another DFB Pokal, making it their 10th one. So big ups to Zealand with getting a big-time move to Dortmund and capitalizing on it immediately. 30 years have now passed. Zealand is now bald, and what is probably the craziest 5 years in any managerial sim. He has changed jobs twice, and where he now is absolutely hilarious. Zealand is now the manager of the U.S. national team, which is absolutely insane. But he left Dortmund and went to Chelsea, where he won the Europa League, and then got sacked because Chelsea, even 30 years in the future, are still continuing their musical chairs of managers, which is pretty on brand for them. But, I mean, Zealand taking over the U.S. national team 30 years into his managerial career, I don't think anyone could have scripted that, and that's absolutely hilarious that he took over the U.S. national team, which hopefully he can help us win a World Cup. If not, at least just keep us dominant within, the Gold Cup and everything else, even though in FM, it's usually Mexico that dominates that. So checking his career milestones, that move from Dortmund to Chelsea happened the year that they won the DFB Pokal. So he didn't even get to see out things, see if they could win the Europa League or not, because the next year he won the Europa League with Chelsea. So 2048 he won the Europa League. 2049 he ended up getting sacked due to poor league position, which for Chelsea that was probably fourth. Then they hired Frank Lampard again. And then in 2051 he ended up getting hired as the US national team manager, where in 2052 he won the North American Nations League. So he won something immediately, which kind of seems to be a trend right now. When he leaves somewhere, he goes on to win something immediately. Because when he left Fulham, it was off the back of winning the Europa League and the Super Cup. And then he goes to Dortmund, wins the Conference League immediately, leaves them, goes to Chelsea, wins the Europa League immediately, gets fired, unfortunately, joins the US, and then wins the North American Nations League immediately. So he is starting to find some big-time success, so that this is looking good so far for his career. So we're now 35 years into the future. Zealand is 61, and these moves in his career keep on getting funnier and funnier. He leaves the U.S. national team to manage England for about 6 months, and then gets picked up from his post with the English national team, and is now manager at Tottenham, which is absolutely hilarious because Tottenham are actually one of the best teams in the world in this simulation. And how they got to be one of the best teams in the world is because of one man, and unfortunately, it's not Zealand. It is the man that is now the manager of Real Madrid, James Ward-Prowse. James Ward-Prowse became an absolute legend at Tottenham, winning, I'm pretty sure, every single trophy under the sun except the Club World Cup, although maybe he did actually win that. We'll check in a moment. But, I mean, if this is what's going to save Tottenham, unfortunately, they're going to have to wait about 30 years, 20 years minimum, for James Ward-Prowse to become an elite level manager, because as we can see down here, I mean, he managed Middlesbrough, Watford, Norwich, Celtic, Villa, Juve, Newcastle, Tottenham, and is now at Real Madrid. So he is absolutely insanely good at being a manager. So like I said, we're going to check the trophy cabinet of Tottenham and what Zealand is having to top from what James Ward-Prowse did while at Tottenham. James Ward-Prowse won 3 Champions Leagues. He won 3 Premier Leagues. How many FA Cups? He won 4? Maybe 3. I think he won 3. I don't think he was there in 2031. He won 2 UEFA Super Cups. He won 2 Europa Leagues. He won a Conference League. How many Carabao Cups did he win? He won 3 Carabao Cups and almost every single Community Shield while he was there. So that is absolutely insane and a tall order for Zealand to top. Hopefully in these next 5 years, he can at least win, in what is my opinion, the one trophy avoiding him, because he won the Europa League while at Fulham. He won the Europa League while at Chelsea. He's won a domestic cup at Dortmund. He's also won the lower leagues when he has managed those, but he's never won the top tier that he has managed in. So if he can get a Premier League title, I would say his career is a big time success, especially being that he got to manage the U.S. national team and won us a couple trophies. All right, so 40 years now into the future, Zealand is 66 years old, and this is actually where his managerial career stops, because after this season, which has just ended, he becomes a scout. And I did continue simming. He did have a decent scouting career, scouting for Liverpool and Bayern Munich, but he saw out his managerial career at Tottenham, and he ended on a high note. He ended his career by winning them their 6th Premier League title, which that was the trophy that I thought, like I just previously said, was the one that he needed to kind of solidify him as one of the very best. And as we can see, he's one of the favorite people now at Tottenham, And I mean, James Ward-Prowse up there at Legends. He unfortunately couldn't do what James Ward-Prowse did, being that he only was here for, I think it's 7 years in total. We will look at his whole career here in a moment. But I mean, he did a absolutely incredible job. And I actually believe this Almir Ibrahimovic dude, he brought to Tottenham when he came over, and he became a legend. So, I mean, he is still here, and the player is absolutely insane. Like, those are some incredible attributes. He is a 6'5" winger. That is absolutely insane. But, I mean, having a player like that at your disposal, no wonder why Zealand was able to win their 6th Premier League title, which, once again, absolutely incredible way to cap off a great managerial career. So we're going to recap Zealand's whole managerial career here. So Zealand managed 8 clubs, 2 national teams. His longest time at a club was 4,648 days. I'll throw up the math for how many years that was, which I actually think that was the Fulham job, which we know was 12 years. Award-wise, he has won 31. Shortest time at a club, that was definitely England. Had to have been England. Unless that was Livingston. It's one of those two. But he has those 31 awards. He bought 240 players throughout his time, spending £3.4 billion, selling 272 for $2.37 billion. So that's kind of like Manchester City and Barcelona right there, their financial issues. So Zealand wasn't the greatest at finances, unfortunately. But his highest fee spent for a player was £118 million for Moritz Gengolf, which happened this previous season. I can see why he spent 100. That's literally like the futuristic Dutch version of Holland without the height. So that move is understandable. Then highest fee received was £265 million for Antoniel, which I'm guessing that was while he was at Fulham. He is currently at Leipzig, no, that was while he was at Chelsea. It was while he was at Chelsea, and I guess he sold him immediately for some unknown reason. Paid agents £87 million and released only 99 players. So he is fairly loyal to his players, which is nice to see. Games played, though. We're going to go to overall career stats because that right there is all the Tottenham ones. We're just going to go overall because this will have that included. Games played, 1,857. That is impressive. Games won, 940 of them. Drew 368, lost 549. Over 3,000 goals, unfortunately over 2,000 against. Goal difference of 923, which I'm sure he would take. Win percentage, 50%, so he would win 50% of his games. That's absolutely massive to being a successful manager. Cup-wise, 12 cup wins, 3 league titles, 3 promotions, which I think 2 of those league titles are 2 promotions, and then 1 relegation, which was when he originally took over Fulham, which was kind of inevitable at that point, unfortunately. But, I mean, overall for Zealand, starting off at Taunton Town, where he was head coach of the season, runner-up the first year, getting that move to Livingston, where they won the SPFL trophy. That gets him the job at St. Mirren, which, unfortunately, Livingston go up, and he has to stay down. But then he wins the league, which that was one of his first major trophies, while also getting head coach of the year. He then wins the championship with Cardiff, wins head coach of the year that year as well. Takes over at Fulham, wins the championship, finishes in second in the championship with them, where he then takes them up, is there for 12 years, and then won the Europa League and the UEFA Super Cup. Takes the job at Dortmund, wins the Conference League, wins the DFB Pokal, takes the job at Chelsea, where he wins the Europa League. Takes the U.S. job after being sacked because Chelsea likes musical chairs and probably just brought in Frank Lampard again. U.S.-wise, he won the North American Nations League and North American Gold Cup. Resigned from U.S., took over England just to get the Tottenham job a couple months later, where he won the Europa League, FA Cup, Community Shield, Carabao Cup, Premier League in his final season, and then the Coach of the Year also in that final season, which is absolutely massive. So, I mean, overall, Zealand is definitely up there with being one of the best managers ever. Is he a Sir Alex Ferguson, a Pep Guardiola, that type of Jose Mourinho-esque? I wouldn't say so. He probably needed to win at least a couple more trophies domestically to be able to do that. But he is Mr. Europa League. He won 3 Europa League titles. He won a Europa Conference League as well. So we can definitely call him Mr. Europa League. But yeah, the one trophy he didn't win continentally was the Champions League. So that ended up being that one trophy that did avoid him, but I'm just happy he got to end on a Premier League title, which is absolutely massive. But for those of you that enjoyed today's video, please feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribing is 100% free, so why not hit that sub button? Please let me know down in the comments below if you guys would like to see me do any other FM content creators and put them in FM, see how their managerial career would span out, or even if you want to see IRL managers, we make them younger, do it that way, or even like throwback managers and we put them in the game, kind of like we did with Zealand here, and simulate their career and see what they do. But yeah, once again, if you guys happen to enjoy, please like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, have a good one. Bye-bye.